wait till you're back to your seat. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'd like to start the evening off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick announcements before I do roll call. Just please be careful. As you notice, we're painting this big room, and some of the things have been moved away from the wall. So I think we have plenty of way to exit out the building. And we also have a broken air conditioner for this particular room. That's when it rains, it pours around here. So that's why the fans are at the door trying to draw in some of the cool air from the hallways, because that part of the air conditioning system still works. So please excuse our disarray for now, but we're trying to get everything fixed. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to have the town clerk call roll call.
Councilwoman Albrecht.
Here.
Councilman Mazzella.
Here.
Councilman O'Hanlon.
Present.
Excuse me. Councilman Reifenberg.
Here.
Supervisor Del Vecchio.
Here.
Town Attorney Emily Swenson. Here. Okay. All present.
All present. I'd like to adopt the agenda as written. All in favor?
Aye.
What do we got? Motion?
Motion.
Second. Now go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. And receipt and acceptance of the minutes of the last meeting. Do I hear a motion?
We
So
don't have
made.
them. We don't have them.
Don't have them yet? Okay.
Okay.
All our official correspondence are on file in the town clerk's office. Tonight we have some oral reports, presentations. First off, we have with us tonight our county legislator, Deirdre Houston. Would you like to take the microphone?
Hello. Good evening. We had.
Press the button on the bottom. There you go.
Good? Okay. Hi, thanks for having me. Just want to update you on a few things countywide. We had our meeting last Monday night for the regular legislature meeting, and a few things came out of that I want to update you on. If you remember, last fall, we, Legislator Sagliano and I came and talked to you guys about the Learn, Play, Create grant that we did for youth organizations, and based on the success of it and the wide opportunity and many people reaching out and asking how they can get money for different things, it was brought to our attention that many of the VFWs and Legions get rented out during, and they make money, obviously, for the rental fees. But during COVID, they didn't have the opportunity to do it because, obviously, they weren't having events. So a lot of those organizations and veterans organizations have lost funding. So we are going to do a very similar grant program. It's going to be launched, I believe, next week or later this week. And it is also going to be run through the planning department, just as the Learn and Play Create was. It's going to be a one-page, really simple grant application targeted towards veterans organizations in the county. And they're going to be micro grants, basically $5,000 to $15,000 a piece. So I'll be reaching out to Veterans Group. I've already told Trustee O'Hanlon about it. So all the veterans groups in the area, I'll be reaching out to just let them know what's happening and forward them the information if they want to apply. And obviously sending letters of support. Legislator Sagliano and I will both be sending letters of support for anyone that needs it. So we're excited to talk about that. Also, maybe 2 months ago, we talked about the fire departments. We had a grant opportunity, and we're excited to think that those grants will be announced later this week and early next week. So we know that Pleasant Valley applied for a grant, and we're super hopeful that they will be getting some grant funding through the fire department. At our meeting, we did our annual review of the agricultural farmland, and based on the recommendation from the Dutchess County Farmland Protection Board, we did adopt new parcels into the agricultural districts as per the county charter, and so that's been completed annually. Reminder that next week, July 27th, we'll be coming here with County Executive Mark Molinaro, Legislator Sagliano, and I to hold a basic town hall forum. Thank you guys for hosting us. The topic will be Camp New Teaming. There's been a lot of questions about Camp New Teaming and what it means, specific to Pleasant Valley and also county-wide with the new the county purchasing the park or the property. So just a reminder, we'll be here hosting the town hall, and as many residents that want to come and ask questions or submit questions, feel free to do so, and we'll try to answer everything. Also a calendar item, on August 6th, the county, along with Veterans Affairs Division, is hosting a Veterans Barbecue called Red, White, and You. They will be having live music. It's free to Veterans Plus One. It will be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Camp New Teaming. And anyone, any veteran can RSVP is necessary, duchessny.gov/Veterans Picnic. And they can register and attend for free. And the last thing I have is another calendar item, is just our regular legislature meeting, which normally happens the second Monday in the month, will be happening later. It's going to be August 22nd, because it is going to be at the county fair. So we're opening the county fair with our legislative meeting. I'm sure that's very exciting to all those 4-H'ers. But and if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to help and answer.
Any word on the grant that we've actually applied for, that they said somewhere around July, we might be hearing something?
Your assistant rec director just asked me when I walked in the door, and I
Okay.
told her that I will be emailing the county planning department tomorrow, and I will CC her in on the email, and I can obviously, if you want to know, I'll CC
Please
you
do.
in. And yes, we're hoping for those, the municipal innovation grant is what you
Yes.
applied for, and so yes, we're hoping to get a positive response, but I will definitely get a better grant timeline tomorrow from the planning department.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I just want to say that I really appreciate the effort that Legislator Houston has made with working in Veterans Affairs in the county. I don't get that from a lot of legislators. I've noticed, and I thank you.
Thank you, I'm happy to do it.
Thank you.
And
Thanks.
I'm bummed out because the Red, White, and You barbecue is the same day when I'll be leaving early in the morning for vacation to go up to the Adirondacks.
I'm sure they'll miss you.
Thank you, Ms. Houston. At this time, we'd like to call Mr. Greg Bollner to the microphone from CPL on some information about the new town hall, or 1903, as we like to refer to it. So back when, we were discussing where we are, what's doing, what's happening, how much would it cost, and Greg's done an amazing amount of work in putting out a sort of a rough draft plan and a cost analysis for us.
It's getting brighter.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So, so thank you, Supervisor Del Vecchio. Greg Bollner with CPL. Yes, we've been working on the conceptual plan for the renovation of the town hall building, or the new building at, what is it,
1903.
1903 Route 44. And so this is basically the downstairs, which would access from the south. So this would be the portion of the building that is at street level. So what we're showing here is the idea here is that it would be a space for a courtroom, a large courtroom that would have a capacity of, and I can't read it on the screen, it's about a capacity of 120. 120. So, and then also, this would be the main community room. So basically this room for town hall meetings. The security area is here in the center. So you would enter into the building, either go towards the courtrooms or go towards the main community room. The other offices that would be downstairs would be the court clerks, would have a space here. We didn't really show furniture in here. A judge's office here, an access outside directly into the building that would not be a public access point. And then there would be a conference room back here for jurors, and then a place here for holding of people that are coming from the county jail or other facilities that would be held until their time in front of the court. So this is conceptually what we had laid out to provide. There would be bathrooms here in the rear that would be common to both the community room as well as the courtroom. And then there would be a stairway here that would allow for access upstairs, and then, but that access would be able to be closed off during most meeting times because there would be no need for the public to go upstairs from the downstairs if they're here for a town hall meeting or for court. That would be closed off so that they would not have access. It also helps from the standpoint of fire protection because it creates a fire protection between the two floors, a firewall basically. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. If you're coming in to pay like a court fee or something to the court, then you would come in a door here, and there'd be a space here for a pass-through counter that they could collect monies. The court clerk could collect monies, and then they would also have a storage area here for records directly to their access, and then they have direct access to the courtroom through a side door here that either the jury could go out there into the deliberation room if there were a jury trial, or just simply the court clerk can leave through that door as well as the judge without having to go through the audience. So this is basically the downstairs that kind of lays out all of the different spaces. And again, this would be devoted to court and the town hall meeting room.
Greg, I can't see it here. I'm sure, did we put in a spot, an area for where attorneys can meet with their clients?
There's
Right in the middle there, I'm thinking? Yep.
It's right here.
Okay.
It's a small conference room here. I guess they could also meet in this room, but this would be the primary room. It's just a small conference room.
Right. Okay.
And then there would be a lift, you know, I can't remember, it's a Lulu, but I can't remember what that stands for. But it's basically just, not a elevator like a high-rise elevator, but it's just basically a lift. So that would be an elevator for handicap accessibility between the two floors, or a stairway between the two floors. The idea was to try to minimize the need for the use of those stairs by having all of the court offices and the courts downstairs, and then as we'll go to the upstairs, all of the main meeting offices upstairs. The only time that it would really be accessed quite a bit would be on a meeting night, because supervisor and town board town board members may come in through the upstairs. And I'll go to the upstairs. So this would be the upper level. So the upper level, this is the stairs going up here we talked about. There would be an entry from the upper parking lot. And another key thing, I guess, to say is the lower parking lot has the preponderance of parking. There's not as much parking in the upper parking lot, but the upper parking lot would generally be dedicated to employees and then people that are coming in to get a building permit or, you know, site plan application in front of the planning board. The assessor's office is up here. The clerk's office would be in this corner with the vault here, some storage files here, and then a place for 3 to 4 clerk's desks. Here, there would be a pass-through counter, so people could come in here. There would be a small sitting room, which, you know, may or may, anyways, a small sitting area, so if people are waiting to be served. And then there is the counter for the court clerk. There would be a counter here for the assessor's office. So the assessor's office would be directly accessible. And then there would be another entry door here with the counter for the building department and planning department. So this would be primarily like building files and records information. This would be 2 offices for building inspector and zoning administrator. And then there would be some desks for other people that work in the building department, building and planning. And then next to that would be a small kitchen, which would be accessible to the full floors. These are generally where the bathrooms are now, and that's where we would propose to have the bathrooms in the future. And then there would be a small conference room for the supervisor or any other small conferences. There'd be an office for the secretary to the supervisor, supervisor's office, and then down here would be the bookkeeper's office. We didn't put much detail into that, but there would be basically desks and storage similar to the others. This room here was somewhat of a new idea of having individual desks for the various, for the 4 town board members, so that they could have a place to go for whatever work that they have here in town hall, that they have a place to go, that they could get their information or get their packets or whatever other information that needs to be disseminated. And then this would be basically a big conference room, and this would be record storage and other storage facilities in that back corner. So that's pretty much how we conceptually laid it out. Leading up to that, we had met with the various heads of the departments, met with the supervisor, other town board members to try to get an idea of what the needs were of the building. We did meet with the court clerks. I didn't actually meet with the judge, but the court clerks conveyed the information between the judge and myself. So we were able to kind of identify their needs. And then ultimately, we have quite a bit of experience with doing courtrooms, but ultimately, when you get to the point of design, that all has to be approved by the Office of Court Administration. So that would all go through the Office of Court Administration for final approval of the plans prior to those improvements being made.
So you feel that that's close to what they
Yes.
require?
Yes, yes. And there is approximately 11-foot ceiling in the lower portion of the building that had a drop ceiling before, so I think it was 9 feet. But that could probably get, with some duct work, it would need to have some duct work and stuff up in there, but you may be able to get that to at least 10 feet in the courtroom, which would give you clearly enough space to have the judge, basically the judge is 1 foot above the audience, because it's a 6-inch rise from the audience to the attorney's desk, the plaintiff and
Oh, okay.
I can't
Okay.
think what
To the bench.
the bench, and then there's another 6 inches between that and the court and the judge's seat. So that's a foot between those two. I don't know if anybody had any questions on this. This pretty much just lays out what we had found out from the different people, getting in, the pass-through windows for the different offices that have the need for interaction with the public and dissemination of information. Both of these, especially this one, would be like a large, so that they could lay out a set of plans if they needed to and be able to review that with either the building inspector or zoning administrator.
Were our constables asked about the entrance?
We,
Or not.
we did talk to them about that.
Just to make sure that they felt comfortable with that?
So the one thing that we have here, and it was kind of a question that may need to be addressed, is right now, the bag, so this would be an area for the constables to have, to lay out any open bags or anything like that that needs to be searched on a counter here. And then this would be the or whatever you call that, the metal detector. So then people coming in would have to pass through this area before they could enter into the courtroom. They would also have a small office. The security staff would have a small office that they could, have any of their supplies or materials kept in that office that would be directly connected to that. Right now, we aren't showing a magmeter or a metal detector for the main meeting room.
Yeah, I
but
noticed that.
But that may be something, a lot of town halls don't do that. I know that Pleasant Valley does, but I didn't know if that was going to continue. We can switch
Oh,
that
yeah.
around. It's required for the courts It's not required for the community room, but if that's a desire, then we can switch that around a little bit to have that dual purpose.
All right. Yeah, because I noticed that there's no real easy way to do that unless you rearrange it.
We could move this entry door over to here and then have that mag meter, you know, set up here to where it could either be used to go that way or used to go
Or into
that
the-
way.
Right, okay.
And then they would just go through these doors here, and then this door would be closed.
Right, okay.
Those doors would actually be gone. So you would have the door here that would go through, or the door to go to the courtroom. Some of these doors, I apologize, some of these doors were existing and would go away. These are not going to be doors here, these 3 doors. That's just the doors that were on the original plan. We didn't take them off of this plan. We would only have the 1 door here and the 1 door here. And I think there was an emergency exit door at this corner. Second exit from the community room. So that's the second exit from the community room. So again, the one challenge that we have is there's columns in that lower area. So we tried to set one of the columns kind of in this wall that would be between the jurors and basically the ramp that brings people up to that next level, so that they would not have, the judge would have complete visibility of the basically the community area, as well as to the judges, or to the attorneys, and then the attorneys would have full visibility to the jurors and the judge, and then there would be another column potentially out here. We could span one of those columns with a reinforcing beam, but it would be very difficult to span 2. So we could span one, like eliminate this column and span from here to here, or eliminate that column and span from here to here. The same thing in the community room. There's the column in this wall, there's a column in the middle of the room,
Yeah, I
and then
saw
that one, we could span that column. The only thing that we're a little bit of a challenge, but we may be able to move some things around, is the vault is above this, so we need that structural support. We don't want the vault downstairs one morning. Just kidding.
We could live with a column.
I mean, like, we live-
I don't think
we
that,
live with one now.
I think we have one now.
Yes.
We don't even know if that works.
So, the next, I mean, this is basically a conceptual design. You know, the next steps is any feedback from the town board as far as any minor items. And then the next steps would be, I think, looking at financing. Right now, if you want to go to the cost estimate, originally back in 2018-19, I think the town had a cost estimate of about $2.7 million to do the renovation of this building. The purchase of this building was pretty much a wash with the grant that the town received, even though, no, am I off?
Well, the grant was 867,000 roughly,
Yeah.
and we purchased the building for,
$750.
Once you figure everything in, it's about 750. Yeah.
Right, so- okay. To me, I consider that to be a wash in the.
Well-
Yeah, no, I get it.
Numbers are
Well,
things.
well, hold on, let me clarify.
Yeah.
It's not a wash. We purchased it for $750. The grant is still available
Yes.
to make us move to that building.
Correct,
So-
correct. That, I guess that's what I should have said, is the 750 was actually borrowed or taken out of reserve funds and purchased. The grant money is still there.
Right, correct.
I just don't have the purchase of the building in the cost estimate
Right.
that I provided to the town, because
We've already paid it, yeah.
it basically has already been paid.
Right.
It's like I said, the renovation estimate back in 2018 was about 2.7 million. We went through, we tried our best to update it to current numbers. Things are kind of crazy. So we've got it about 4.3 million. One of the big question marks in this is the need for a sprinkler system, which is really driven by the community room, but we believe that during design, we can probably identified that that can be eliminated, that there wouldn't be a fire protection, there wouldn't be the need for a sprinkler system. But if this town wants a sprinkler system, I put it in there, it's probably about $1 million. Because by the time you provide for a storage tank, for the storage of the water, a fire pump, and the sprinkler system throughout the building, it's about $1 million. So I put that in there, but that's not in the 4.3. That's in the 5.3 basically. Also, a couple items in here, and I finally found it, Mary, sorry. It's
That's all
down under the, right above the final number. $100,000 we put in there for an allowance for furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
Can we bring it up so that the folks can see that is what you're talking about?
Okay, so, I'm not at the microphone, but if everybody can still hear me. So basically, we just identified most of the cost here. A lot of it is detail. The cost estimate was put together in the format of division of work. So it really doesn't jump out to anyone, like you're talking about aluminum entrances, framing, wood doors and frame. It's pretty detailed, but we did lay it out so that we could provide that cost estimate. And then what I was saying down here, we've got the elevator in here, we've got an emergency generator in here, and then down below, we've got an allowance for fixtures, furniture, and equipment. Again, it's an allowance, just so that, moving into a new town hall, whatever types of new filing cabinets, new desks, things that would be needed and appropriate for furnishing of the building, it's unlikely that you're going to be moving all of the furniture from this building to that building. So we did put an allowance in there, but that allowance is what it says. It's an allowance. So it's not something that we would plan on having go through a contractor. It would just be an allowance that the town could use for purchase of that materials or furniture, fixtures, and equipment. And correct. Yeah, so there's no, like I said, it's just an allowance. It's just so that you have a complete understanding of what the cost of moving into this building is, I guess, why we put it in there. And then the lower portion here is what I was talking about with the sprinkler system.
Greg, would you mind just talking through just the, because I see that the building renovation construction total you have as like 2.6 million, but then we have about a little over $1 million different contingencies and then the soft costs. Can you just walk through what each one of those contingencies and what is covered under the soft costs?
So the general conditions would be like construction, general contractor conditions, mobilization, bonding, some various costs associated with the general conditions of this size of a contract. So general conditions are generally considered to be about 10% of the cost of construction for a large project like this. And then the design contingencies is basically what we would say is the contingency held during design. Once you get to the design and you've got a cost estimate, then you would update that. The design contingency would go away, but you would still have a construction contingency. So that's why we break it down. And there's quite a bit of contingency. It's 30% contingency. But as I said, with the cost of things going up, we wanted to be on the high side, and I think we are on the high side of what the cost estimate would be to do this building. Does that explain what?
Yeah.
And then soft costs would be the design costs by the architect.
Okay.
The legal costs associated with the different contracts. So basically it would be both design and legal costs associated with the implementation of this project. So you would have construction administration, you would have obviously preparation of design, bid documents, construction admin would all go into those soft costs.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question, Greg, real quickly. So what would determine whether or not we have a sprinkler system or not? Is that something that's grandfathered, or is it something that,
Once we get to going to that next level of design, it's really having a conversation with the town, because it's some, basically, because you would have to spend the amount of money and the effort that would have to be made to try to bring in a sprinkler system. In other words, if this was a sprinkler system in the city, if this was a building in the city of Poughkeepsie, where they have water available to the building, then that would not be considered to be a extraordinary expense to provide a sprinkler system for that building. And because of that definition of extraordinary or extraordinary, I don't know the exact word that they use, expense, then you would be expected to come up to the standard, to the current code standard. Because of this not having a water supply, you would have to provide storage, you would have to provide fire pump. So it becomes an extraordinary expense that would be to the discretion of the town to basically whether or not they spend those costs for that fire protection. Because you're talking, I mean, you're basically talking 20% of the cost of the building for the fire system, fire protection system. So that's kind of where those portions of it. Because generally speaking, when you do a renovation at this level, you're expected to bring everything up to code. The only caveat was with the sprinkler system.
right? And that would still be the same as if I know we talked about this a long time, but pulled the whole thing down and.
It would be
whole-
the same.
Exact same thing, right, okay.
Be the exact same thing.
All right, thank you.
Just one quick last thing. Since you know the building so well, is there one item on here that, I guess in any construction, especially renovating, that you are concerned about until we start getting in there and starting to do the work, that might be off in here? You know what I mean? Like, once we start actually doing the construction, is there like a item that you're kind of concerned about that might cause issue here that you didn't calculate for?
The only real caveat that we didn't calculate for, but it's something we would test for, is asbestos. Based on the age of the building, it's not anticipated that it would have asbestos, but in the preponderance of caution, you would want to test for asbestos, because you can't guarantee that there's not sheetrock that was provided from an out-of-U.S. source. Because asbestos still is, or still had been used during this time frame in other countries. And so if you got sheetrock from Canada, it may have had asbestos in it, which wouldn't have been allowed in sheetrock in the United States. So it needs to be tested. That's probably the biggest caveat. For the most part, the building's been gutted. I guess the only other question mark is the condition of the subsurface disposal system. The subsurface disposal system is a pump-up system, which isn't completely out of the realm, but there does need to be some work done on that. So those are a couple of things that I would say, from the standpoint of some things that would need to be done as the next step of investigation to kind of hone in on things, I would say would be a pump test for the well to verify that everything's good with the well, a test of the subsurface disposal system, and asbestos survey.
Since this building was done, they have dramatically increased the efficiency of the pump systems.
Correct,
Oh, sorry.
correct.
So the pump-up systems, could be changed, right?
Correct.
But you didn't put in here for that?
No, we do have some costs in here
Oh, you do?
for the,
Okay.
Tank rehabilitation, or Division 31? Right above the general.
Yeah, I see.
Yes.
Yeah.
so we have $50,000 in there for that, for the septic system, and then general site improvements, and then parking improvements.
Okay.
It's not I mean, it is an office building, so it's not a huge amount of it's not a
Traffic.
huge facility. It's not a
Not
whole lot of waste,
Right. Right.
but.
Anyone else? Greg, thank you very much. Excellent work once again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So I think the next step would just be to look at how the town wants to finance it, and then how they want to move forward with design.
Thank you. Well, why don't you save that for the portion of the meeting where we ask the questions?
You want me to stick around?
Could you, just for a few minutes, if you could? Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. For your sake, to move you along, if you feel like fielding any questions from the audience, that'd be great.
Do my best.
But let's not overlap. Let's stick to the point. And
For the maintenance, well, we don't have a maintenance area. I don't know if maintenance is still going to be here. There is there is quite a two large rooms upstairs that could be subdivided, and there could be a maintenance office up there, but we did not put in a maintenance office.
so that determines what we're going to do with this building, or not do with this building. So if you remember on one of the maps there, one of the layouts, there was a huge room that said storage, probably the biggest, it's about the size of this room here. That could be divided up as a maintenance area as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's this whole area here. It's a large room for storage and whatever else, so this could be split up, and that could be some additional offices there. And then we may have this bookkeeper office a little big, but that, anyways, that was just a previous placeholder. There would still
We
be
left
some.
that kind of open.
Yeah, there would still be some slight modifications.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Mulder?
Could you just, for just the purpose of, can you just grab this and talk into it?
Oh, he told me here.
Well, it's for the
No, we need to
recording.
record it for meeting for minutes purposes.
Say your name, where you're from. I know.
Kathy Kruger, Pleasant Valley. Our food pantry, we still don't know the future of our food pantry. Is there any provisions, any way we're thinking of having a room for our food pantry for storage?
So that wasn't in this discussion at all. For what we were talking about with the food pantry, depending again what we're going to do with this building. If it's something we can do it here. But this is moving for that building up that way. If we weren't going to use this building up there, that might be something we could use in the future. Anything on the structural design or anything like that that was just mentioned? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Chris Hart, Pleasant Valley. A couple questions. You're missing a few divisions, 28, 29, 30. You've got nothing in there conceptually for security, technology, audio, visual. I would think the next step for the board to be pursuing would be a full set of plans and specifications. You guys plan on hiring a general contractor to oversee the construction of this building? And if so, you should consider a general guaranteed price for the base contract. Consider cost plus 10% for your change orders. But right now, it looks like you guys are just continuing to kick the can down the road with, well, this is all conceptual, numbers. Material pricing is changing every 30 days, as well as lead times. You're probably gonna have to come back and redesign and configure some of the building based upon what's available. Office of Courts and Administration. I know that's changing every month, some of the new requirements. Just to get in here tonight, I haven't been here in years, but, you gotta go through practically a strip search. This is all stuff that you guys really need to take a closer look at. So I think you as a board need to authorize somebody to draw up a set of plans and specifications so we can get a true cost of what a general contractor will charge the town to build this. It may not be the right time, it may be the best time, but basically, like I said, I think you've missed a few divisions and you look a little light in some areas, but I understand it's all conceptual, so thank you.
And that is what the next steps would be, is to move to design. We needed to have a direction, and the board wanted to have cost estimates put to this so that they could make an informed decision about going forward. And we tried to have some fairly large contingency in there to account for that. And yeah, okay.
Anyone else? Seeing no other questions, thank you very much once again, Greg, for your work. Okay. Okay, so it's the second second quarterly report for our department heads. I believe we have everybody but the assessor here today. He gave me a copy of his report. He could not be here tonight. His daughter has COVID, and he was exposed. He didn't want to come in and expose everybody, and we thank him for that. So I'm just going to read off the quarterly report from our town assessor, Garth Slocum. The new equalization rate has been finalized at 85.56%, and the office is continuing the ongoing process of reviewing the incoming sales and changes to the assessment inventory for the purpose of maintaining future rolls. This year, approximately 150 assessment change exemption removal notices were sent out. The Board of Assessment Review has held its meeting, and including exemptions that were removed, 12 grievances were filed. We continue to receive routine calls, inquiries, and most of these regarding taxes, exemptions, and potential home buyers with a myriad of questions. That was it. This time we'd like to call upon our Highway Superintendent, John Baxter, for his quarterly report.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, Town Board. How's everybody doing this evening? Good. A little tired, but you know, it is what it is. So my report's fairly short this quarter, thankfully, I guess. We're still out patching roads and taking care of trees. The biggest things that we've been doing the past few weeks is paving some of our roads. We've paved Bristol Road and Talbot Drive in the Forest Valley development, as well as we have paved Ward Road, or a small portion of Ward Road, from Marshall Road. I don't know if anybody knows where the pond is as you go down Marshall Road, about half a mile or so down Ward Road, which is a real trouble spot. Gets real soft in the wintertime, and it was just more cost efficient to be able to pave it. The residents seemed okay with it, so we went ahead and did it, which was great. And starting tomorrow, weather permitting, Mother Nature, please, we're going to be paving David Drive. So we'll have that done between tomorrow and probably Thursday. Should take at least 2 days, maybe 3 by the time we're out of there with all the paving stuff. And then the whole course of being able to pave a development like that probably takes you about a week. I know people are always like, oh my God, you finished paving, but my yard's a wreck. Well, you know, we still have to get back out, you know, the following week and, you know, put all the sod and the grass back and all that good stuff. We've been doing our roadside mowing. I don't know if everybody's noticed or not. So we're on our second, almost third round of doing the roadside mowing, getting everything cut back. If anybody's got a trouble spot, please feel free to call my office. We try to pay attention to everything, but, you know, those phone calls really help out a lot. And the boom mowing has started. Also, you notice the guy will be out there with the boom mower. He's got an Iveco style truck. It's got a long lawnmower, can reach out past the guardrails, you know, and really get our brush and whatnot cut back. And I've been working with my guys to try to help cut fuel costs and cut electricity costs, you know, given the state we're in. I figured for about $3 a gallon for fuel this year, and diesel fuel's almost $5 a gallon. Who knew? So we're trying to do our best to cut that back. I'm having the guys, you know, if they can, if we're out on the road, shut the trucks off. You know, we try to turn the lights off in the shop. You know, I follow them around like a mother hen sometimes, shutting lights off and stuff. But so we're trying to do our best with that. You know, try not to leave things running. You know, and that's pretty much the end of my report for this quarter. Any questions?
I have one question
Sure.
in regards to the road signs.
Yep.
Okay. okay? There's been some talk as to why we're changing them. I know you brought this up, and I know we went through this before, but I think it might be,
Right, so the thing with the road signs is our current road signs, the wooden ones on the wooden posts, I know a lot of townsfolk love them. They're really quaint, but they are not DOT compliant. They are not high visibility, which is an issue, and it could turn into a legal one down the road, God forbid if anything happened. And with all the new DOT rules and guidelines, they haven't actually come out with the updated rules yet. You know, we're going to have to change our signs. And the fact that we're starting to do them, you know, will give us a little leeway if anybody happens to complain. If I tried to do them all at once, it would cost us probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000 because we have a lot of road signs. So I'm doing them as needed, which is also why I tried to stay with the white and black motif that we already have. I know the metal signs aren't as quaint as the wooden ones. I like the wooden ones myself, but the wooden ones are high maintenance, and over the cost of lifespan of a wooden one, probably cost me twice as much as a metal sign. The metal signs will outlive me, hopefully, you know, and the only time we'll have to replace them is if, you know, some of our local youth happen to borrow one or they get hit in an accident or something like that. Otherwise, they'll last forever, and the maintenance for general purposes is almost nil once they go up. So that's why we're doing the signs.
You showed me those. They don't look too bad.
Well, and that's why I stayed with the white and
Yeah.
black. I didn't want to
Yeah,
go,
that's
you know, like
what I was
some towns had the big blue signs and the
Right.
green signs, and I tried to stay with that, you know, what we already had or as close to it as possible, and still try to keep our cost, you know, and not have to spend, you know, $300 or $400 a sign. You know, we're somewhere around $150 a sign now if you figure the pole and the sign and the hardware to put one up, and then the man hours about an hour or so to be able to put a sign in. So around $150 a sign now. So I tried to keep that.
How about the private ones?
The private ones, believe it or not, we can ask them to update their signs, but they are private.
So they
and
can
can-
get one through
They're
you
they're
or
supposed to
not?
still be compliant. They're still supposed to follow the compliance laws for road signs because they're still supposed to be visible for, you know, police and, you know, EMS and fire and God forbid there's a problem or something, you know, so they are still supposed to be compliant. But there's really no way for us to force them to do it. All the private road signs are supposed to be yellow. I know some folks have white signs up. I've knocked on a few doors and asked them to make those road signs yellow, and that's a county and state thing. So,
Right.
you know, but as far as the high vis, we're really held to that strict. You know, if you notice all the stop signs that used to be flat, you know, like a flat red, they're not flat red anymore. You can see them from a mile away, whether it's foggy or not,
Right.
and that's the whole purpose behind that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
anyone else? Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Next up, Town Clerk.
Good evening, everyone. So this is from April 1st to June 30th, 2022. We took in 192 dog license renewals. We did 2 dog seizure fees. We had 9 marriage licenses, and we had 13 marriage transcripts. We did 95 death transcripts. We did 46 fishing licenses. We did 3 peddlers permits, 1 gaming license. Total monies paid to the supervisor was $3,937.15. Total monies paid to New York State is $2,941.85. In regards to the transfer station, please note these amounts are only reflected on our ticket sales at the office, does not include any expenses that the transfer station has incurred. The month of April was $5,947. Month of May was $5,544. Month of June was $5,469. Total monies to date is $32,848. In regards to taxes, tax season is over. Total taxes collected to date was we collected 3,292 parcels. Was $8,347,860.39. We had 113 parcels that did not pay. That was $550,233.99. Monies paid to the bookkeeper in regards to taxes. Penalties collected was $15,211.30. Second notice fees was $320. Return check fees was $80. And interest earned on the checking account was $24.77. The checking account now has a zero balance. We did 35 handicap renewals. Since my last report, there have been 8 FOIL requests and 2 are still pending. In regards to a flu clinic, the town clerk and the recreation department are going to team up once again and offer our residents a flu clinic this fall. We are working on dates and times to follow. We are working with Walgreens. The town clerk's office will be closing at 11 o'clock on Thursday, July 28th. I'm very sorry for any inconvenience that this may cause. I will put that out on social media. I would like to say thank you. I would like to give my sincere appreciation, gratitude, and thanks to my deputy clerk, Kathy Miller, for all her extra time helping out our office during my absence for my surgery. Her extra efforts have not gone unnoticed, and she is truly an asset to the town clerk's office. I also would like to give my thanks and appreciation to Jennifer Adams for all of her time helping out my office in my absence and for being my deputy clerk for the last 2 years. I wish her only the best of luck with her new opportunity in the position as secretary to the town board. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And any questions for our clerk? Thank you, Mary Beth. Recreation report.
Good evening. I want to thank the board and the public for the opportunity to discuss our recreation programs. Soccer, currently late registration is going on for all divisions except for soccer tots. There is no late registration for that. There is openings in a lot of the different divisions. Don't wait to register. So far, we're up to 167 registrants. The Bauer Park maintenance, I had discussed a couple of months ago. The fields look great. We plan on using them for the fall LDT practice and games season. We'll start practice on the fields in late August. Arlington Central School District has proposed some maintenance on the south end field of West Road. If that happens, we'll have to compensate by using other fields at West Road.
Just for clarification, the south end, is that field 6?
Field 1.
Oh, okay.
Soccer field 1.
Oh, I got you. Okay, thank you.
So you have soccer field,
Yeah, no,
and
no.
you have little league numbers, yeah. I want to give, this is our camp, so I want to give a special thanks to the Climate Smart members, Jean Curley and Mita Plotnick, for the composting project they are spearheading with our campers this summer. They have visited camp each week to review the progress and keep the excitement growing, no pun intended. Soccer camp was held the week of June 27th. We had 41 campers, and we did miss one day because of the impending thunderstorms. Camp Sunny Days is currently in the second week of Session 2. There are a couple of openings for Session 3, but registration is closing tonight at midnight, so don't wait to register. And we're down to just a handful of openings. Basketball camp is going to be July 25th through the 29th. We did change the location. It's going to be at the Helen Aldridge Basketball Court, and registration's going to close Wednesday night. So again, don't wait to register for that. Summer Hoops is an 8-week summer drop-in program up at Helen Aldridge with 2 divisions. It's 4th through 6th grade and then 7th grade through college. Thank you, coaches Steve Dersh, Tim Cotter, and Rich Chapman for running the program. We have had a couple of cancellations and we'll be extending the season later into August. Senior trip. We finally had our first senior trip, and I say finally because COVID really threw a monkey wrench into it. It was to Villa Roma. It was a salute to the American Bandstand, and it was sold out. Lisa Aravener is finalizing trips for the rest of the year, so check out the website for the schedule. The summer concert series. We've had 2 free concerts so far under Perfect Night Skies. Next concert is Thursday, July 28th. It's down at Katie Field at 6 p.m. with an old PV favorite, Harvest Band. The bathrooms at Helen Aldridge. The MIG grant, we're still waiting for the decision. According to the grant, we cannot move forward on ordering the structure until October 1st. However, I don't see why we can't move forward on the septic and the well, including any site preparation. Now, Greg Boldner was going to contact the Department of Health. We had spoke to him that day, and I caught him in the lobby. So he said the Department of Health has given approval of the well location. The CPL has submitted the first submission for the septic. So what he's going to do is he's going to put together an outline and get it back to the town board. So I'm hoping we can move ahead with the bid process for the August workshop, depending on what Greg gets back to us. Fall-winter youth basketball program. Coach Chapman and I are still waiting for a decision from Arlington School District regarding the gym rentals, and basically it's when the custodians are not scheduled. There's going to be a different rental fee. BOCES is still up in the air regarding gym availability. I know we lost one night already. I'm not sure how that's going to go. Hopefully we'll know by next month's meeting if I need a town board resolution, because registration should really start the end of August, beginning of September. The MOU, which is an agreement that Arlington has with the town of Pleasant Valley regarding field usage at West Road and gym usage in general with Arlington, it's been updated. The MOU was sent to Arlington, and we're waiting for their modifications to get back to us. The internships I'm really excited about. Smart Staffing intern has been working with maintenance, especially Jason. Faith worked with us this past week up at Helen Aldridge Park, and we want to keep him at least one more week. So I already spoke to Tom, and he's aware of it. The NABA intern, Matt, started today. We're also excited about his work. It was a crazy office day, but he seems to enjoy it. The gully work up at Helen Aldridge, Greg Bollner, CPL, gave the drainage analysis. He completed it and he submitted it, and I have to apologize to the town board for not distributing the report sooner, but I gave Mary Beth a copy of Greg's report. And can everybody hear me? Can I keep talking?
Keep talking.
I need it.
I actually know what this is, yes.
Thank you so much.
So at the department head meeting last week, we discussed Greg's proposal, and where am I? We discussed Greg's proposal and the possibility of the PV highway department doing the work, which is basically to put in a basin with an open grate to be placed by the existing pipes. The highway department is capable of doing this work, but we will have to have it included in their work schedule. So I guess we're at a point where we need the town board to come up with a decision of how we're really going to move forward on this. Camp New Teaming. The last day of PV Spring Soccer was celebrated at Camp New Teaming. That was Saturday, June 18th at the Semi-Pro Soccer Field. Our U5 and U8 players were invited to escort the teams on the field for the national anthem for both games, 4 and 7 p.m. We had a scrimmage with the PV soccer players and their parents during halftime. And the LDT U9, U19 players were ball boys and ball girls on the sideline for the official games. I want to give a big thank you to Tracy Santiago, our soccer director, for organizing this activity, and all our soccer families and Camp New Teaming for a fun night out. We froze, but it was a lot of fun. That night was really cold. July 12th, Supervisor Delvecchio and myself had a grand tour of Camp New Teaming. The supervisor, Danielle Salzowitz, and I brainstormed possible future programs, such as a fall family day, a nature hike, bird watching, fishing, boating, soccer games, maybe a battle of the bands, a family sleepover, and maybe a spring fishing derby. And I think that's it. Please visit our website, pvrec.com, for updates of all our programs. And thank you for your time and consideration.
Thanks, Sandra.
Thank you, Sam. And last but not least, because it starts with a Z, our zoning department. Z, well, we could try to,
There you go.
you know, you got a good point there.
Number 2.
That's zoning, it's only
Plan, yep.
I didn't see you behind the podium. I almost asked, where's Sarah?
Okay,
I can't see, I literally did not see you.
She can't,
That's
you
okay.
can't, I just can.
that's okay. So I'm Sarah Davis. Welcome. Hello. Sorry, I get nervous.
That's all right.
So I'll just do the numbers. That's all. So we did 99 permits this quarter, compared to 86 last quarter, for a total of 172 this year. We took in $39,500 this quarter. We have a new building inspector, John Fumo. Thank you very much. And he's done 105 inspections. Mostly, we have 3 single-family homes going, some decks, pools, solar, a lot of solar. So, and he managed to close 50 permits out. And 27 of them were certificates of compliance, and 23 were COs. We did 31 municipal searches, 17 FOIL requests, 27 notarizations. We received 22 new complaints, and I conducted 31 investigations, and 19 orders were issued. A lot of my complaints are unfounded, or we have nothing in the code that we can do about them. What are we doing in the department? Other activity. I propose a change in the law that clarifies the unregistered vehicle code and resolves a conflict with their definitions, and will make it easier and more efficient for me to do my job, because I don't have to prove it's dented. So that's good. And I attended a class on battery storage. I know you all think that thing in your car, they're as big as this building. They're as big as this room. They're huge. They're going to be coming. They're private.
Really?
Yeah. And we will be getting them. I've attended one web class, and I plan on attending another county class on them. But they're coming, and they're big. And the class I went to was for first responders,
Yeah,
because they pose such a significant danger to them
right.
as firefighters.
Probably went to it. Yeah.
Okay, and I went to, with that class, I earned green points for us, so we can qualify for another grant.
Oh, wonderful.
They introduced a new section of code that will help the town board deal with property maintenance. I haven't heard any questions about it or a lot of comments, so that's, I assume you all love it, so that's good.
So we have a little update, or
Yeah.
where are we with that?
Wanna just-
Go right ahead while we're there.
So, yeah, right, so you gave us 2 different proposals, one for the junk vehicles and one for the property maintenance. I wrote up the junk vehicle one. The property maintenance, I thought that it might be good to have maybe 1 or 2 town board members and you and I just have a quick conversation about it, because there are a few things in there that I wasn't sure about that were different from what I'm used to in other places. So if we could maybe do that, and then I'll have it ready for the next meeting.
That'll be super, thank you. So, have John Fumo now, and thank you very much for a part-time building inspector, but he's part-time. He can't do the work in 20 hours a week. It's not possible. It's really not possible. I know he did 105 inspections. I don't know how. I know some of those, a lot of those, were done on his way home from work, on his way in from work, and they aren't charged to us. And with the part-time constraints on my department, on Friday, I closed. I didn't have any staff, and I only had an hour left. There was nothing I could do. And I do like keeping the department open 5 days a week. It's very effective. I think a full-time staff would be much more effective.
John did how many? I'm sorry.
Say again?
105? Oh, okay.
Yes, 105 inspections.
And that's on top of his classes, and on top of
Yes.
fire inspection,
Yes.
which
And
he's
that
also
was another
covering.
point I wanted to bring up. You guys want him to be the fire inspector
know,
too.
I know.
That's crazy.
We're getting there, Sarah, we're getting there.
We're years behind on fire inspections. Okay.
That's
Anything
very
else?
commendable on John Fumo's part, because I know
Very
he's been
commendable.
putting in an awful lot of time taking the
He has.
classes to be fully certified.
He has. He's doing very well, the whole thing. We're loving having him. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah.
At this point, I move that we open the meeting to the public for agenda items only. All in favor? Aye. Anybody would like to speak on agenda items, please? You know the routine. Say your name, where you live.
Gary Vader, Salt Point Turnpike, Pleasant Valley. First item I'd like to talk to is the town assuming responsibility for abandoned cemeteries. This came, to my knowledge, very quickly, as my parents are buried in the Union Cemetery up in Hyde Park. That cemetery went bankrupt like that. That's a very big, active cemetery. Hyde Park had to take it over. It's a huge cost. So I think it is appropriate that you plan for that, and that's just a basis of what can happen. The second thing, on the same topic, there's a fellow in town who has been working very diligently on the cemetery by Briggs Paving up there on Route 44. Back in the 70s, I tried to get a group to go up there and clean that up. It was a major job, I gotta tell you. That was the most hardy poison ivy I've seen in a long time. And it was loaded with it. He's cleaned it up, it's mowed, it's beautiful. He's also done the one behind the old Grange Hall to the side. Most people don't know the hard work that he's put into those two cemeteries. That one is also mowed and looks a lot better. That was completely neglected. So I think he should be recognized for doing that.
Gary, could you just mention his name while you're giving?
Oh, I'm sorry, Pete Brower. Long time
Yep.
resident of Pleasant Valley, active in the fire department, etc. But he took this on and done a good job. I think basically that's all I got for tonight.
Thank you. Anyone else? Agenda items?
Good evening again, Chris Hart, Pleasant Valley. I see you're reappointing the town engineer, CPL, this evening.
Yes.
You'll also need to reappoint them for your storm water management consultant as
MS4,
well.
yes.
That's also up.
Right.
That was done, I think, back in January under a separate resolution. Then the next question, I see you're going to accept credit cards as a means of payment. What does the court do? Are they included in this as well, the court? And if you already have a policy in place with the court,
I think they do take credit cards already.
can that be applied to, the town as well? Rather than having two different,
No, because they're two different.
They're separate.
understand they're separate, I'm talking about the facility that handles the transaction.
No, I think that's
it's
done
linked to
too.
the-
It's, yeah.
Is that linked to the court administration?
I believe the court has their own checking account, so it's linked to that.
Okay, I just thought that basically because it's being done, you might be able to kill two birds with one stone. Other than that, that's basically about it. I just wanted to bring that up about CPL. Thank you.
Kathy Kruger, Pleasant Valley. I have a question. Is Helen Aldrich Park closed during Camp Sunny Days?
Yeah.
I have a question. If they received grant money for the park, how can they close it then to the public?
Good question. You want to field that one?
Well, I mean, it's because of the use for the camp, so it's, right, yeah, that's pretty typical. Yeah, I mean, it's part of the public recreation use to have the camp there.
I just, my understanding was if there was grant money, it can't be closed. I mean, you've got other people who, especially in the summertime, who might want to use that park, and if it's closed, that kind of seems unfair to the rest of the public.
We'll look into it.
Look into-
whether or
yeah,
not
I would
grant
just
money
say,
can
yeah,
be actually
because-
granted if the camp is closed, but that's a good question, and
I'll check into
Yes,
it,
please.
as far as I know, yeah.
we'll get back to you on that, Kathy. Thank you. Anyone else?
Going once, going twice?
Hearing none, I move to close the meeting to the public at this time. All in favor?
Aye.
So we kind of had it touched upon the town assuming responsibility for abandoned cemeteries. I wanted to put this on just as a slight discussion, just to have us aware that we are responsible when they do get abandoned. That doesn't mean all of them. That means certain cemeteries that fall under a certain category. Unfortunately, we do have actually three right now that fall into that category that are being taken care of by one. Gary didn't give himself any credit, Mr. Veeder and Mr. Pete Brower. So it's something that we should really consider when we go into our budget, of actually designing a line for that and putting money towards that. So it's designated for that particular purpose, because we're going to need it down the line. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, I brought this publication that has a good overview of it, and there is a suggestion that if there are cemeteries that that currently still have an operating board, but they may be having some difficulty, there are ways the town can try to help them out to keep them from becoming abandoned. So if there are any in that category, we might want to look into that as well.
Okay, new business resolutions. Town Board Resolution 7003, 2022, authorizing payment of abstract number 7 of 2022, whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley Town Board has audited the bills and presented it by the town clerk, and an abstract has been compiled. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board hereby authorizes the Town Supervisor to pay all claims as follows for the year 2022. Abstract 7 of 2022, General Fund Claims, $84,902.32. Abstract 7 of 2022, Highway Fund Claims, $48,584.04. Abstracts 7 of 2022, Prepaid, $5,744.25. Abstract 7 of 2022, Street Lights, $4,002.72. And Abstract 7, 2022, Ambulance Fund, $14,245.80. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in
Yes.
favor?
Aye.
She said yes. She said
Okay.
yes to discussion.
Yes.
During signing the vouchers, there were several things for the gazebo and mulch and things like that. Isn't that supposed to go to a recreation or park?
Well,
I mean, this place is considered recreational under the, yeah, it is.
nope. If you can prove it, I got to be honest with you, I climbed through a mountain of things to find whether or not Mill Site is a park or not. It is considered a greenery, a town greenery, and a historical site. And it does not fall under the Rec's budget whatsoever. In fact, she has never, from what I understand, taken out anything from her budget in the past for any kind of,
You know, I know that, but that doesn't mean it's right.
well,
I mean, we're trying.
regardless, I'm
we're
just letting you
trying to-
know, it comes
we're
out of-
trying to
it
get
comes out of
things
the line where-
fixed
yeah.
as we go along.
right, so, I mean, for the other reason why I was looking was for the piece that we were talking about of maybe carving out the pump house. So while looking for that, there is nothing that suggests it's a park or under parkland.
So do we have to carve out the pump house or no?
Well, we're gonna, that's another thing we gotta find out. If it's not, we can still carve it out, but we don't have to go through the hoops and ladders
the
that are.
swap?
Right, right, so
it
it may be beneficial.
Not to call it a park
Right.
at this moment.
If it hasn't been called that, let's not do that.
Not right away.
So,
It
we're
is-
still investigating, but,
It is down as community services, cultural and recreational, and a cultural facility for the, I'm assuming for the building end of it, for museums, art gallery.
it's a historical site. It could be used for,
That-
it could be used for, what they said was the only, for the pleasure of the gardens, to look through the museum, and to basically, you could have a concert, you could have a speaker, or an art show. Those are the only three uses. That's it. That's
Where
what-
did you find that?
I have, well, where is it? Right here.
Or you have it?
I have, yeah, I made copies. I made copies just for the other reason, for Emily, because we're still looking for the other reason. So here's, it's a historic register. 164 Main Street. So all these are historical sites for town. That's the historical register. And this gives you the description. It's a town greenery. Here's the registry, right there. If you could find anything in the mountain of stuff that I've climbed through, otherwise stating, be my guest.
No, I can't even find the deed.
Go right ahead.
The deed under parcel access is not even for that park.
Okay. There's
So
a
that's
subdivision
something
in
we need to,
parcel access too,
yeah.
Stop calling it a park, it's a greenery.
Can,
I'll take copies
Yeah.
of this.
so I kind of understand what she's talking about, because when I was signing the vouchers, I noticed that there was a couple things that were coming out of I was confused because There's one voucher for certain things coming out of the rec budget, and then there was, the other vouchers were coming out of the buildings maintenance. So I think taking the conversation even further about maybe what we talked about a month and a half or so ago when the volunteers went in there and cleaned it up and whatnot, is I think it's interesting having conversations with different employees within the town. I think the town itself is confused about who actually is making sure that that park is maintained. And for myself, I mean, if any park's gonna be maintained, I mean, it's on the main street in our hamlet. It's a Veterans Memorial Park. I really think there's a bigger conversation that needs to be had, especially going into the budgeting process, is that, for example, we paid, just to bring everybody up to speed, we paid, I think, $850 for the mulch for the park, but it's coming out of a line item under buildings, maintenance on buildings. And then we took down a tree that was in the park, or the greenway, whatever it is, which cost some money, and that came out, we took that out of the budget line item or paid it out of buildings maintenance. So my concern is going forward, especially into this budgeting process, is that we remember all these little things and make sure that we're actually funding that particular spot, because I really feel like because it doesn't fall under rec, and because it doesn't really fall under anybody, and when you talk to people...
So let me stop you.
Hold on one sec.
Go ahead.
When you talk to people within the town hall, one person tells you, oh, the Historical Society takes care of the whole area. Another person says it's the supervisor. Another.
No.
So there's a lot of confusion, and I think that's what's kind of led to the part, that location.
So let me answer you.
So
Because in the past, the way things have been set up, there's been sums of money lumped into just maintenance of just a general kind. There's also a contingency line where people take things out of that as well. So we do need to define that, very much like we're going to need to define the cemeteries. And the mill site had absolutely, it's sort of, what was the term you used, Sandra? It's sort of an orphan. Thank you, very excellent term. So the mill site does not fall into anyone's place. It just has its general repair. So those general repairs we identified, we all did at one point, that they needed to be done because it was very bad. So the only place you can get it from was that line. We do have to go forward in our budget and definitely identify that as, and put money towards the mill site, specifically for the mill site. There's
and
no question about
I
it.
think what Councilwoman Albrecht is saying is, like, I think it would be easier for us to keep track of all these little things.
We are.
If we did a budget modification to, because I mean, in all honesty, 6 months from now, we're looking at this at buildings maintenance. My brain doesn't think of mulch and flowers and trees and trimming of the mill site. That's my concern, is that we're 6 months from now, yeah, right now we're talking about it, but we really got to make sure we're keeping track of this stuff.
First off, we're not 6 months from now. Our budget process starts very shortly. That's number one. Number two, I have all these identified things that we're going to be bringing up during the budget process.
I understand.
And you will see it. But it is, you're 100% right. It is lumped into one huge pile, and you don't think of a gazebo, or you don't think of something like that.
That's my concern, because I've sat here years after year after year, and it's gone unnoticed. So you telling me that we're going to remember it, I want to make sure we remember it so it gets
You
done.
could write
So
it down.
We're going to be
I
the board
promise
that
you I'll
makes it
remember it.
happen, okay?
Okay. So getting back to paying our bills. We had our discussion. Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town Board Resolution 7004, 2022 budget modification of the general fund. Whereas the Town Board of Pleasant Valley has an expenditure for the 2022 adopted budget line items that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines, and whereas the Town Supervisor finds it necessary to amend the 2022 adopted budget to meet these adjustments, and resolved, the Town Board of Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes and empowers the direct bookkeeper and the supervisor to modify the 2022 adopted budget as follows. Appropriation account DA.5142.473, Department Gas and oil from the snow budget, decrease at $35,000. Account DA.5110.473, Department gas, oil to road repairs, increase that $35,000. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Pretty much John covered that. Town Board Resolution 7005, 2022, budget modification of 2022 general fund. Whereas the Town Board of Pleasant Valley has an expenditure for the 2020-22 budget, line items that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines, and whereas the Town Supervisor finds it necessary to amend the 2022 budget to meet these adjustments, and resolved, the Town Board and the Town of Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes and empowers the direct the bookkeeper and the supervisor to modify the 2022 adopted budget as follows. Appropriation account A.1670.413, Department of Office Supplies, increase $2,500. Account A1990.400, Department Contingency, decrease $2,500. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second. Keep motion, I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, works for me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 7006, 2022, amending the 2022 general fund budget. We do this already? Was that the same one? No, it's different, okay. Whereas the Town Board of Town of Pleasant Valley has an expenditure and revenue for the 2022 adopted budget line items that will adjust the amounts in such budget lines. Whereas the Town Supervisor finds it necessary to amend the 2022 adopted budget to meet these adjustments. Resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Pleasant Valley hereby authorizes, empowers, and directs the Town Supervisor to amend the 2022 adopted budget as follows. Appropriation account A.7989.302, Department, Adult Recreation Trip, increase $2,800. Revenue account A.2089, Department, Adult Recreation Trip, increase $2,800.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh. You could read this. Your partner wrote it. This is like the Magna Carta.
Do you want to read it?
No, go, be my guest. It's all yours.
We don't have to read the entire thing.
Well, no, we'll just give him a summary what it
Okay,
is.
sure. I'll read the caption. Town Board Resolution 7007 of 2022. Resolution authorizing the Town of Pleasant Valley to enter into agreements with one or more financing agencies or credit card issuers to provide for acceptance by the town clerk, tax collector, building inspector, and zoning administrator of credit cards as a means of payment of fines, civil penalties, rent rates, taxes, fees, charges, revenue, financial obligations, or other amounts, including penalties, special assessments, and interest owed to the town, and to enter into agreements with one or more financing agencies or card issuers for such services, and to permit such payments to be made via the internet.
And that's just a paragraph.
Yeah. And the rest of the
Basically,
details.
all intents and purposes is so that we can get the credit cards being used in the departments.
So moved?
So moved.
Just
Any discussion?
Yeah, really quick. I just want clarification, if I can, from Emily. The Finance Committee has already gotten 2 separate quotes. One of them is going to cost the town, the other is completely free. I just want to make sure, how many quotes do we need for this? Because that was the reasoning behind this part.
The other
Right.
issue is finding a company that will work with the municipality. That's our biggest issue.
Right. So because ultimately I assume you're gonna go with one that's not gonna charge anything to the town. It's a zero, basically. So you still need to do your due diligence and write down what you've done to seek different options to make sure one is the best value for the town. But I don't think there's anything specific in the procurement policy for something that doesn't
Okay.
have a
And,
cost.
and do we know, to Mr. Hart's point, do we know what company the clerks use? Because I mean, we should
You mean the
probably-
court?
What is it?
The court, you mean?
Yeah.
No idea.
Because, I mean, it would make sense if it's not one of the two, that we probably at least approach them and,
Well, we can find that out tomorrow morning.
yeah, somebody, I mean, I don't mind.
I can check
If you
that
could
out
just
for
shoot me
you.
an email and Mary, please. Thanks.
I can find that out, no problem. That it, Mike? Councilman Reifenberg? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Pleasant Valley Resolution 7008, 2022, authorizing the Town of Pleasant Valley Recreation Department to conduct a basketball camp program. Whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley Recreation Department is desirous of conducting a one-week basketball camp, and whereas the Recreation Department has recommended it be held during the summer, and whereas the camp will feature Coach Brian Laffin as an independent contractor, and whereas the Town Board hereby desires and intends to establish the tuition rates for the basketball camp program as follows: $130 per session for Pleasant Valley residents during the regular registration, $155 per session for non-residents of Pleasant Valley during regular registration, and whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley Recreation Department will be responsible for the setup, rental, request fees, if any, general facility logistics, and administer all phases of the administration process. And whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley Recreation Department will provide one counselor per every 10 campers, and whereas the camp will provide comprehensive basketball instructional skills, development, and training, and whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley will receive 50% of the total amount collected in registration fees, less expenses, and the independent contractor will receive 50%, of the total amount collected for the registration, minus the cost of 2 adult counselors to be compensated by Town of Pleasant Valley. And whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley retains the right to cancel this camp in the event that a minimum of 20 people do not enroll, now therefore be resolved that the Town of Pleasant Valley Recreation Department is authorized to conduct a summer basketball camp consistent with the terms as heretofore specified herein, and to be it further resolved that this is effective until further changed or modified by the Town Board. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, this is for the attorney, okay. Town Board Resolution 7009, 2022, reappointing attorney to the Town Employee Legal Services, whereas the Town Board wishes to retain counsel to provide general legal advice as attorney to the town, and whereas separate attorneys have been retained as labor counsel, special prosecutor, and planning zoning counsel, which services will not typically be among the duties of the attorney to the town. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board hereby appoints Gordon and Svensson, LLP, and Warren S. Raplansky, P.C., to serve jointly as attorneys to the town for the period of July 10, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. And be it further resolved that the Town Board does hereby designate Gordon and Svensson, LLP, and Warren S. Raplansky, P.C., to serve as alternate special prosecutor for vehicle and traffic offenses for the same period, to act as a special prosecutor when special prosecutor is unavailable or when conflicts arise. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor hereby authorized to execute an engagement and agreement in the same or substantially the same from as annexed hereto. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just for, didn't we do a motion from the floor last meeting for this?
I think we did a motion to go forward. I think we did this in,
We did this after
After
executive session.
executive
right, we
session.
did, so this is just, yeah, this is just to go to the contract.
Okay.
It had to be
I thought what we
officially.
voted on, I thought what the motion we made was the same thing, but that's fine.
Well, we made the motion, but this is just
I get it.
officially.
Formality, I get it. Yeah, I
You're
get it.
right, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I gotta sign this before you leave. Town Board Resolution 7010, 2022, appointment of alternate to Zoning Board of Appeals. Whereas we did this as well, I think, but this is just official. Whereas there is now exists the Town Board Pleasant Valley Zoning Board of Appeals vacancy for an alternate member, whereas Thomas Cassidy has expressed an interest in being appointed as alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Pleasant Valley does hereby designate and appoint Thomas Cassidy as the alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill a 5-year term effective immediately as follows. Appointment July 18th, 2022. Term expires July 18th, 2027. Thomas Cassidy. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 7011, 2022, employing engineering services. So this should have actually, to Mr. Hart's point, the fact that they are also the MS4 coordinators as well.
Yeah, I'm actually I've been looking for the resolution we passed to get the wording, but I haven't found it yet.
Okay.
So I don't know if we
Well,
want to
so
hold
if I'm
on.
not mistaken, though, our MS4 coordinator actually is John Baxter, isn't it?
But CPL is
No, they
together
just,
too.
they just prepare the report, I believe. I don't think we have to vote to put it.
They're still considered.
Oh, really? I thought we appointed you to do that.
Well, he is, but they have both. So, do you want to just add this in as a?
Yeah, just I'll make a motion to
Okay.
amend it.
Be it resolved that CPL Architecture, Engineering, and Planning is hereby appointed to the Office of Engineer for the Town of Pleasant Valley for the term of June 30, 2022 through December 31, 2022. And be it further resolved that the Delaware Engineering has already been hereby appointed in Resolution Number 1017, 2022, as Conflict Engineer, alternate engineer to the town for special projects for the term of January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to execute an engagement with, the agreement with the respective provider accordingly as referenced herein. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment to this resolution, adding Greg as as MS4 coordinator, or at least somebody who prepares the report.
Right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor to make, for the amendment? Aye.
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 All in favor for the appointing?
Aye.
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 Oh, here we go. Town Board Resolution 71-2, 2022.
Really quick, we have to, it's under items for special consideration, so I'll make a motion
Right.
that we allow Resolution 7012, 2022 on the agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 71-2, authorizing contract for tent rental for Pleasant Valley weekend. Huh?
This one has the blanks filled in.
Oh, that would be more helpful. Thank you. I'm looking at this, I'm going, what am I reading? All right. Whereas the Town Board of Pleasant Valley has solicited proposals from 3 qualified contractors for the rental of tents and other necessary items for the Town of Pleasant Valley weekend. And whereas the Town Board received 3 proposals, and whereas Matt Kentelli Tent Rentals submitted a proposal under the purchase order of 8503-4 in response to the request for proposals. And whereas Matt Kentelli Tent Rentals submitted a proposal in the amount of $5,944, and whereas the Town Board of Pleasant Valley is desirous of awarding the contract to Matt Kentelli Tent Rentals now, therefore it be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Pleasant Valley hereby intends to award the contract for the rental of tents and other necessary items for the 2022 Town of Pleasant Valley weekend to Matt Kentelli Tent Rentals in the amount of $5,944. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor be hereby is authorized to directed to execute a contract in accordance with the purchase order 8503-4. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And just for clarification on something else, it was Resolution 1018 of 2022 for CPL being appointed till the end of June. for Stormwater Management Program Coordinator, so yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion that we allow Town Board Resolution number 7013 of 2022 on the agenda.
Could I
All in
just,
favor? I'm sorry.
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
Before you get into that one, I just wanted to review it a little bit because I wrote up this resolution. So you voted to do an RFP, which went in the newspaper. Only one proposal came in before the deadline. A second proposal came in after the deadline, which was a higher amount. The procurement policy recommends a written RFP, which was done in three quotes. But the procurement policy also says that if you can't get three, that doesn't stop you from awarding the bid. So I just wanted to review that with everyone. Thank you.
Okay. So we voted all in favor to let it on the agenda,
Yep.
right? All?
Yes.
Okay. Town Board Resolution 7013, 2022, authorizing the town supervisor to execute an agreement for the town hall parking lot, seal coating, and striping. Whereas the town board has determined that the town hall parking lot requires seal coating and striping for good maintenance and safety. And whereas in accordance with the town's procurement policy, a written RFP was released with the proposals requested by July 15, 2022. And whereas the town published notice of the RFP in Northern Dutchess News, and whereas Nick Mustakis Blacktop Seal Coating provided a proposal at a total cost of $13,594 for seal coating and striping. And whereas an additional proposal was received after the deadline, which quoted a higher price than the proposal above. And whereas the town board has determined that these goods and services are not subject to the formal bidding requirements of 103 of General Municipal Law, and that the guidelines of the town's procurement policy have been satisfied. And whereas the town board has determined that the proposal for Nick Mustakis Blacktop Seal Coating represents the lowest responsible proposal. And whereas the attorney to the town has prepared a formal contract incorporating the terms and conditions of the proposed said parking lot seal coating and striping work, which has been reviewed by the town board members. Now, therefore, it be resolved. The town supervisor is hereby authorized to execute proposed contract with Nick Mustakis Blacktop Seal Coating in the same or substantially the same form as presented to the town board. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just really quick, do we have an idea of where we're planning on, after we pass this, the money coming from, just so I have an idea in the budget?
So most likely it'll be going to, again, that big pie of maintenance. which is
Okay,
where
so
this
it's going to come out of the maintenance
Yep.
line? Okay.
It's most likely. Okay,
That's
all
all I
in
have.
favor?
Aye?
Aye.
And this is the agreement. Yep. Okay. Phew. That's related. Okay. I'm done. Before we get to this next segment, I just want, someone brought this up as maybe this is a little confusing for some. Old business discussions, and we're keeping it on. It seems like the list gets a little bit bigger. I just want to point out that in the past, most recent past, and I can honestly safely say go back about 3 to 4 years, that things have been mentioned here and then fall away. We never hear from it again. So that's how come this was kind of created, so that we don't lose sight of some of the things that have been brought forth to us, stuff that we're working on. So if we move through this quickly, or it feels like these topics are holding on, or they're just lingering, it's because work is being done and it's just not there yet. So for instance, the code changes. There's still some work has to be done to make sure that that's right. So that's why they're there. It's just not to have them forgotten. Like when you say in holding, that means it's in a holding pattern. We need more to go forward. So that's why this can go pretty quick. Our youth fall winter basketball league. You're still waiting, right? We're waiting, right, for that. The property maintenance code, the junk motor vehicles code, we're tightening that up.
Before we move on from that, I mean, I think we should really talk about what the next steps are, so we don't just keep, I mean, where are we with that? What do we need to do as a board to continue?
Thank you. What I would love is if one or more of the board members could meet with me and Sarah and just go over the provisions of that property maintenance code to make sure it's appropriate for Pleasant Valley. Would anyone like to do that?
I would volunteer.
Okay.
I'll do it with you.
Well, we can't all do it, or we'll have to just do it at board meeting, which we can.
Michael's been pretty much with the codes, well, for the most part, and I've been sitting there with a lot of it.
I didn't know if you wanted one or two people.
Well, we didn't hear you, actually. That's what, she said yes, because I didn't hear you either.
I didn't.
I just
Yeah,
said,
no, I didn't hear you say yes, John. That's why.
so I said yes,
okay.
I just said yes, it's fine, so we can work on those.
All right, thank
right.
you.
Are
Everybody.
you gonna send out the email to
I will do
coordinate all
that.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
The Kirchhoff rezoning application, anything on that? Nothing yet, right? Okay.
I just want to make sure we're all on the same page with that. At this point, the town, we haven't accepted an application for that.
Correct.
You guys are just working on stuff, right?
The application has not been submitted
Right.
in its final form.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Exactly. They
Sure.
need to submit an application both to the town board and the planning board so that we can do a coordinated secret review. So that's,
Okay.
Changing of the name Field 2 to Howe Field to Howe Park is, we're waiting for Mary Beth to come back?
We're just waiting for the sign to be made.
Okay.
Everything else is all set.
Everything's okay?
Can we like try to move that along?
Do we, well, here's my next question, is do we need to vote to do that? Because if we need to vote to do that
I
change.
think we did that already, didn't we do that a
I
while
don't think
back?
we did it. I don't think we actually voted, did we?
Yeah, I think we did. We'll look it up, but I'm almost positive
if we
we did
did,
that
we should-
already.
yeah.
We're really just waiting for materials
Yeah, I got you.
and availability.
Yeah, I got it, okay.
Again, the MIG grant, we're waiting. I believe we're,
Hopefully this month.
yep. The veteran parking signs.
Actually, can we just go back to the
Sure.
veterans? So Sandy brought up a good point about the well and the septic. Those are actually not part of the grant, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Just the structure, right? So we should put together some bid package if we're gonna have to put that out for bid anyway.
Certainly do that.
So,
I believe she talked with Greg on the way out the door,
okay.
and we're going from there.
I'll talk to him tomorrow and make sure we get it in time for them and in time for lunch.
That'd be great.
Veteran parking signs,
Once we get the.
once we get the ceiling, yep. One thing leads to another.
I wanted to throw in a little something about that. How many spots were we talking about? Two?
We voted for 2 signs.
Well, in conjunction with the remarking the parking spaces, I thought it might make it stand out more like, okay, your handicap parking access has blue lines on either side. I thought it might be a nice touch if the veteran parking spaces had red lines on either side to differentiate them from regular parking spaces.
I just don't know if that would increase the price. It might increase the price, then
Well-
it'll change the bid.
We can
Okay,
ask.
you know what? I'll pay for the red paint.
Well, hold on. Let's find out first. It probably, it might not.
I'll speak to Nick.
All right,
I
we
just
can
thought
always find
It
out.
would be a kind of a nice touch.
All right. Good point, and I will check on that. Red instead of blue. Okay. The property changes from we just kind of discussed this already with the whole piece of the mill site being a park or not, so we're still trying to find out where that lies. Picnic tables for the park, still waiting for someone to pick out which ones they want.
Well, before, I mean, we just keep saying that every month. What's the plan?
The plan is to find the best-built, least expensive picnic tables.
So who's
And
working on
there's
that?
controversy as to whether or not, which ones are which. I've gotten 75 different kinds.
I got another site from John.
Yeah, I get more sites. So a lot of them seem like the same. A lot of them, it's more price-driven now than anything else. So the moment we take a look and say which one we want, we pick it and go.
We actually picked one out, we just have to see if they're on the site that Baxter gave us or the OGS site.
And you've
I-
actually seen these? That's the only thing I worry about with getting stuff like that, a catalog, is that you can get like decent wrought iron or not so great wrought iron. So I'm just wondering if some of us should just go and look at some of this stuff. If there's a way of looking at it. Do you know where the companies are? For the tables?
Well,
Are they close?
a lot of these companies are not like around here.
Yeah,
I mean,
know,
these are
but
mailing
We really
things.
should know what we're getting.
Yeah.
One of
I
the-
highly
one of the-
suggest we get the metal ones that have the holes through them. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're not going to float down the river,
Right.
and they will last as long as you paint them.
Family Services, Sandra, has a really nice metal set for that in Poughkeepsie. And Family Services building on Hamilton, North Hamilton, whatever it is.
It's the old school?
Yes. Yeah, they have some really nice new ones down there.
Okay. So we've been advertising for the alternate for the court constable, new judge replacement.
Are-
No,
I know we're going through these awfully fast, but the alternate court constable, are we at the deadline? Who's interviewing them? What's the plan?
I don't,
But you do have, I sent you several applications.
Yeah, so I think we should discuss that tonight of what the
Yeah,
plan
half
is.
of the people don't even live in this county or even close. I
Well-
noticed some of them were from Niagara Falls, but,
So when we discuss that, those will be executive session things, because you can't really discuss it here.
yeah.
Well, no, I understand we can't speak specifics of people, but is that the plan as we're going into executive session tonight to decide that, or?
Well, not that particular one, but yes, we can discuss it there.
Okay.
Again, new judge replacement, we've advertised. How much
Yeah,
time
but-
we have left on that?
no, it was never on Indeed. So we don't have any applications for it. It was put on social media only.
Well, it shouldn't go, well, don't forget, it can't go on Indeed because the person has to be a resident of the town.
Right.
Right, like it's an appointment, right, like they can have the best resume in the world, but they could live out of Pleasant Valley, it wouldn't matter.
But how did we do it for the last time?
We just did
Because
a
we
social
got
media
like,
We just did a Facebook.
we got 8 applications last time from, oh, we got more than 5.
Well, anyway,
So we are going to
we have to
just do it in the social media piece, and that's it, correct?
unless we wanna let Mary Beth advertise in the newspaper, that might make sense.
I think the newspaper is official. I don't think the social media is something that you
Right,
should
well,
really just live by.
I'll make a motion that we allow Mary Beth to advertise the upcoming judicial vacancy in the newspaper.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Updating on the procurement policy. Mary, you mentioned that you had started some work on that?
Yes, and I have some stuff to send to Emily. I called some other towns for some information. So, Emily, I'll just send you all of them along with what I wrote up.
And the bus patrol, I was waiting for Dutchess County to give me a little something, but this week was tough with the air conditioning and stuff like that, so I never got back to them. I still have to get Frank some more information for you, and I will get that this week. Okay. All business resolutions done. I move we open the meeting back to the public for new business only, if there is any.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Again, Chris Hart, Pleasant Valley. I'd like to talk a little bit about the project that's going on over on Van Wagner Road. First and foremost, the intervenor funding. How much have we applied for? How much has been approved? And how much have we received? I noticed they're putting in a roadway cut. I don't know if the highway superintendent has reviewed that. We have a 300-foot sight distance. It's right on that bad curve, right on that bad corner. And, I know everybody says, well, it supersedes, they don't have to follow zoning, they don't have to follow, our planning. I believe they have to follow our highway. They do hand out permits, New York State Department of Transportation, when you go back in and look at the package that they have throughout this project. DOT's handing out permits, Dutchess County Highway Department's handing out permits. You should have your hands on something to review that. And if not, then the town should send at least a letter of release of liability indicating that, you know what, doesn't meet highway specs, and they're responsible for, you know, any future accidents that there. But it's going quick, it's going fast. My understanding of it is they brought in over 40,000 yards of fill. Doesn't appear that they're following the soil and erosion mediation plan, which is why I brought up the MS4 with CPL. You may want to take a look at that. You may want to take a look at the overall project just in general. Like I say, it looks like it's getting away from us. It's bigger than what they originally presented. It appears to be bigger than what they've come back and said they're going to build, and, you know, nobody seems to be looking at it. On another note, Mr. Reifenberg, I'm glad to see that you're here today in attendance. I understand you're in an industry that is fast-changing. There's employment shortages. Year and a half out, they're talking for airline pilots, that type of stuff. Not that I'm calling you out on the carpet, but Mike, I'm calling you out on the carpet. If your situation's changed, you really need to take a step back and decide whether or not you have enough time to give Pleasant Valley, the library, as well as your family, you know, the necessary time that it needs.
Mr. Supervisor, can I respond, please?
You may.
Please.
So, Mr. Hart, so just to give you an idea, I don't know if you watched 2 meetings ago, but back in January, we set the dates for all of the meetings, and because of July 4th, we set it for Tuesday, July 5th. At 2 meetings ago, for whatever reason, I guess there was a court conflict or whatnot, it was decided to move it to July 6th. Unfortunately, I bid my schedule a month and a half out, so last minute changes like that, just like anybody else, you can't just, and that's happened a couple times where I've asked for us to, I've never been accommodated when I've asked for a meeting to be changed. So I just want to make sure you understand that I had the time off for the July 5th. So
I understand the industry, but I also understand
it's not the industry.
previous meetings that you've missed as well. You're
And
halfway
again-
into this, Mike, and your attendance isn't
And
too
Mr.
good.
Hart, if you'd like, I'll send you the emails requesting to accommodate that.
Don't need the emails.
Okay.
I just need to see you there. You're a bright young guy. I think you offer the town a lot, but I think you also need to step back and say, do I have the time to give this job? Because when I look on TV, I haven't seen you there. And I'll be honest, I served the board for 12 years. I made all 288 regular scheduled meetings. So I can sit here and say, you know what? Yeah, attendance is important. Never missed a regular
I completely agree.
scheduled meeting, but I understand the industry that you're in, so I
Thank
just
you,
want
sir.
to
You
bring
ma-
that
you-
up.
Thank you, sir. You made your point.
That's it. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Just point of order, Mr. Supervisor, you did state at the first meeting of the year that you wouldn't allow any of that.
Yeah.
So I just.
Well,
point
hold
of
on,
order.
hold on.
And I gotta tell you.
Well, let me
Mike does a lot
stop.
of work.
First off, I don't know what someone's going to say. That's number one. They have to finish their statement. He made a statement. The councilman asked to respond. He responded. The point was made. I said, I'm going to stop people if the point has already been made and it was made, period. And that's when I stepped in.
I do want to just add, though, that there's been residents that have been discussing things that you were not in favor of them coming up here and discussing, and you've multiple times have stopped them, and they were not allowed to speak. So I'm fine with Mr. Hart coming up and saying that. I believe that anybody can stand up here and say whatever they
There
want.
has not been a resident that's gotten up to say anything that I did not like. I stopped only one resident who, at the time, has put everything in a legal process, which we are not to speak about. He knows that, and we should know that. That's it. But people get to speak their mind here, and I will stop them if the point is made and it doesn't go any further. There is not going to be any berating, and that's not berating. It's a point made, period. That's it.
Just to follow.
No, the point has been made, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. Anyone else? New business?
Sorry, I hate to beat a dead horse, but the basketball camp that's going to take place, is that going to take place at Helen Aldrich also?
Yes, it is, the same time that that camp is ready to go.
But just for point of order, this is for new business, not agenda items. That was on the agenda.
All right, so I can't, one of the other questions I had, I guess this is not allowed either, since you've talked about it. Can we do something about these picnic tables? Pleasant Valley weekend is in 2 months.
We're working on it.
And thank you, Mr. Hart, I quite agree.
Thank you.
Guess I'm easily confused. I don't know whether it's new or old. I'll make it new. Picnic tables, I know you talked about it. The new part is maybe if you put something out that allows people to donate one, their name will be on it. Number 2, check with BOCES. I've mentioned this before at a meeting. BOCES may be able to make them. They have this new expanded facility up there now. They went back to what their original purpose was, and they're making stuff and doing repairs. So, as I said, don't know whether it's new or old, but I know I'm old, and that's what I thought of. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Not hearing any. I move to close the meeting to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This time I move to go to executive session for 105.1F.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks.
I make a motion that we come out of executive session at this time.
9:48 PM for the time. I second that.
Aye. Second. Aye.